The first 8 minutes of this video is basically me going over what diagnoses I have so far, and just a little bit about me and the symptoms that I face on the daily. If you already know about EDS, POTS, dysautonomia, and you're not in a mood to watch a 20-minute video, then you might just want to skip to 8 minutes and 3 seconds just so that you can get into the main part of the video. So far in my journey, this is all of the diagnoses that I have. So as you see, I have dysautonomia, orthostatic intolerance, EDS type 3, severe POTS, chronic GERD, gastroparesis, sinus disease, MCAS, moderate sympathetic failure, chronic fatigue syndrome, and then I also have reduced cerebral blood flow by 46%. So that basically just means like my blood flow doesn't reach all the way to my heart, into my brain fast enough, and only 46% of my blood rushes up fast enough. So those are my diagnoses as of right now. I'm still going through my journey of trying to find out other stuff I have. So anyone who doesn't know what these kinds of diagnoses are and what it really means, I'm about to tell you. So orthostatic intolerance goes along with dysautonomia and POTS. Dysautonomia is basically where you get tachycardic, which means your heart rate goes really high and it causes you like all these different symptoms. And with dysautonomia, you can get that at any time, but with POTS, it's when you stand up, that's when you get most symptomatic. So I kind of have both. I could be sitting and get a random dysautonomia attack or tachycardia attack, or I could have POTS when I just stand up, and then that's when it all happens. And then EDS is basically where I have a leak at my heart valve, and it just causes like flexibility. My skin is like super stretchy. So I have the very like easy type of EDS. Not that it's necessarily easy for some people. With type 3, they still struggle a lot. For me, I luckily don't. Now obviously if there's a type 3, there's a type 1, etc. So the people that have the other types, it can honestly be deadly. So for other people, it's a really big deal depending on the type you have. I forgot to add that from EDS, I do get bruising really easily. I bruise a lot easier than regular people. I also heal very weird. It takes me a long time to heal from like a cut. Then for GERD, that's just like acid reflux basically. So I have acid reflux, but I also have reflux. So when I don't have the acid rising, I also have like my food or water rising. So then there's gastroparesis, and that's basically where your stomach doesn't empty out as fast as it's supposed to. So like you'll feel very full very easily, very fast. Even like one bite makes you already feel like really full. Luckily, I don't deal too much with feeling full super fast. I just get nauseated super fast, but I'll go into that in a second. So then I also have a sinus disease, so my nose is like always constantly clogged. The ENT doesn't think it's like enough to get like surgery on, although I would be lying if I didn't say I hadn't thought about it, just because it's very annoying. I can't, it's just always clogged. They gave me Flonase, but it hasn't been working, and I've been on that for a long time at this point, and it just hasn't worked. So I've stopped doing it, and I'm just like kind of getting ticked off because it's really annoying not to be able to breathe through your nose correctly, and it's always clogged. And part of that sinus disease gives me daily headaches and eye aches. So I've gone through a whole bunch of like testing with a neurologist, an ENT, an eye doctor, everything, trying to figure out why I have daily eye aches and daily headaches. And really it just comes back to it's unexplainable. There's no proof except of a sinus disease that usually doesn't typically give the headaches and eye aches that I experience. So really they just blame it on POTS, and you can't really do anything for that unless you take like Tylenol or something. But again, it's not good to take that every single day. So then there's MCAS. Now a lot of people have it very bad. I have the like bare minimum level of it, so I'll just get rashes randomly, or I'll have random allergic reactions. Those are not fun at all. But other people have like attacks where they like have to go to the ER because their attacks is getting like really bad. So then there's moderate sympathetic failure. That kind of goes along with dysautonomia, POTS, and everything like that. Like your system is like basically all screwed up. It does not work like a normal person's, and your whole autonomic system is just screwed basically. Now POTS, EDS, and MCAS, they all go together. So basically when you have POTS, you most likely have EDS and MCAS, etc. So they all kind of go together. Now with chronic fatigue syndrome, I am fatigued 24/7. I get like random bursts of energy if I can get myself excited about something, but besides that, I'm constantly fatigued, I'm constantly tired. I would love to take like several naps every single day, all throughout the day, but I can't for some reason, because every single time I take naps, I wake up feeling like I have the flu. Like I'll literally almost pass out and throw up. I just am miserable, and it lasts like that for like an hour to 2 hours. Sometimes it can cause me a flare up, so for some reason naps don't like me. So to know more about like what I struggle with is actually like, is POTS and dysautonomia, but it's also something else that I haven't even been diagnosed for yet. So basically, I have constant nausea, constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It gets worse every single time after I eat. If I'm yelling, if I'm singing, if I am walking, my nausea gets worse. My stomach is super tender right in between my ribs. So your ribs are just like this. But then when you press right in the middle of your like stomach, at the very top of your stomach, right underneath your breastbone, that's exactly where it hurts for me. I don't even know if I would call it like hurts. It just is super sensitive, and if I press on it, it makes me feel like I'm about to vomit. After I eat, it does hurt if I press on it, or at random times I'll start to get pain there, and it can just be chronic like achy pain, or I can get just like random like stabbing pain, and then it like radiates through my back because I guess the pain's so bad. And then I get cramps a lot. I bloat very easily. Like I'll eat a chip and my stomach is just like boom. I think this goes along with POTS, but whenever I'm on my period is really bad. Like I'll be rolling on the floor in excruciating pain. And I know some girls get like that, a lot of girls get like that, but it's actually known like if you have POTS, like your periods are worse, to show you like my body weight difference. So since those photos, I have lost 18 pounds, I think, in the span of like 7-8 months. I was obsessed with weightlifting and bodybuilding, and I would work out like every single day, lifting weights, doing sumo deadlifts, squats, back squats. I would just do everything. I loved weightlifting. And I actually gained 7 pounds of muscle over the span of like 8 months to a year. And my legs, like as you could tell in the pictures, like they had definition in them. I was really strong, and I had a lot of muscle, and I had honestly my dream body, and I didn't even know it at the time because I didn't realize how good I looked. But then I lost all of it, so I've lost all my muscle. So having POTS and dysautonomia and all these other things and other diagnoses that I haven't even gotten yet, these are all have really like impacted my life big time. So yeah, honestly, I'm kind of just vlogging this because I want other people to know that they're not alone, and I know a lot of other people are going through this. Also, a lot of people that have been going through it don't really post about it. So the videos I've tried to find, they're just not really online, or they're not very in-depth. So I wanted to do this for the other people out there, and also just to create awareness for it. So anyone that stumbles across this that doesn't have these issues, they can kind of know more about it, because it's actually more popular than people realize, but people just aren't diagnosed or they don't know about it. It's very unheard of, but a lot of people do struggle silently. So yeah, this is basically what it's gonna be like. You're gonna be able to see and experience my whole journey and what it's like, and I'm gonna tell you what it's like. And it's really hard to even see how much like I honestly suffer, because on the outside, like I look fine. Like right now, you're looking at me, I look fine, but on the inside, I do not feel good at all, and I can't do a lot of the stuff that I wanna do. I've already missed almost 40 days of school so far. Also, something to know is that I've been having constant nausea since I was very, very little, and I got diagnosed later on in the 6th grade with anxiety. So the symptoms that I had growing up, like the nausea, was always kind of blamed on anxiety. And how I got to recognize that it wasn't normal and it wasn't anxiety was when my therapist told me that it's not normal to feel as nauseous as I do all the time. And then I started realizing it, and I was realizing how sick I felt, and how leaning over the toilet at night several times a week is not normal. This is what started my journey. Already at this point, I've already been to gastro doctors, I've already been to allergists, I've already been to dietitianists, I've been to a motility doctor. I've gone to like literally every doctor you can think of, and none of them can figure out what's wrong with my stomach. One day, my mom's friend came along and started talking to me about how I might have MALS, and that's usually associated with POTS, but it's also very rare. It's either that it's very rare or it's just very rarely diagnosed. It's very unheard of. Many doctors may know about it, but if they do, they have no idea actually like what it is and how you get diagnosed or how to find it. So when she brought this up, I like started diving into it and I just like got hooked on it immediately. And it was like, I have this. Like, it was a gut feeling. So I went to the cardiologist. They gave me an ultrasound, didn't have it. But I still had this really bad gut feeling that, hey, I have this, and they just missed it, which is really hard to, like, tell myself because doctors aren't wrong. So about a month or two later, I saw another cardiologist and was telling them that I'm, like, still having these really bad symptoms, and I started getting pain, and I was getting very close to vomiting a lot, and it was just miserable. And so they decided to test me for MALS again. Didn't see anything. So then I begged them again to look again. One of the biggest reasons I was so positive I had MALS was because during this gut feeling, I prayed to God, please tell me if I have this, if I should keep searching to find if I have this and get this diagnosis. And within minutes, he responded to me and revealed it to me. And I'm not going to explain what it was because it was a very intimate moment with me and God. And also, I know a lot of people wouldn't believe me. So that was also one of the reasons I felt so strongly about it. So then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go to a vascular surgeon. So then I started to try and see a vascular surgeon, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. And now I just got to wait to see where that goes. All right, good morning, my peoples. It is the morning of before we see Dr. Nagarza. I'm getting, like, excited. I'm about to do a little bit of makeup just to, like, wake myself up, so that way I also don't look like a hoodlum. This is the audio clip of him going over basically everything we learned today. Just to clarify, he did go over my CTA scan and he said it does look like I have a compression of my renal vein and my celiac artery, meaning that I would have nutcracker syndrome and MALS, but he wanted to do a ultrasound, again done by him. By this time, by other doctors, I have already done 4 ultrasounds, and none of them showed that my velocities were heightened to prove that I would have MALS, but he wanted to redo it and do it himself, and he did, and this was the results.
Hey.
Hello.
All right, thanks for getting that done. I just looked at the picture. So that's why we do it when you stand and everything, because everything changed. I mean, you do have hooking when you breathe, and it is very compressed when you breathe, the celiac. The velocity was like 330 when you were breathing. Renal is also narrowed, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure this is symptomatic, but I think we work you up for that too.
Okay.
Just because I don't want you to have one thing fixed and then have another one not be an issue. The only concern I have is because of the solitary kidney.
Right.
That we got to be very careful with whatever we do for it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, if your symptoms are all epigastric, we may decide to just block, see if we can make that better, and see if everything gets better with just doing the one instead of doing anything to the kidney. And if we do something for MALS and something happens and you have pain from the kidney in the future, it can always be treated.
Okay.
If the block comes back and we're okay with the block, you know, like if things improve with the block, that's the only reason we should do MALS surgery. If nothing gets better with the block, we should not do MALS surgery. And surgery can only fix what it's designed to fix. It doesn't make everything better, you know?
Yeah.
And so if the block doesn't work, there's a good chance the surgery won't work.
So as you can tell, we learned a lot today, and for the first time, we could actually see how bad my MALS was. The fact that my velocity was elevated when I stood, and you could see the J-shape hook and everything like that, that was so good to hear, because that also means, he mentioned to me that I also have vascular MALS as well as neurogenic. So if it was just all neurogenic MALS, then that would be a more bigger of an issue. So it's really good that I have both and not just neurogenic MALS, because vascular MALS is more treatable, it's easier treatable. I've heard a lot more better surgery successes with having vascular MALS over neurogenic MALS, because nerves is a lot harder to deal with. I do have issues with the nerves, but that's not the primary thing, which is great. Then also, as you heard, he was also talking about nutcracker syndrome, so I do have that, and we just really gotta hope when I get that celiac plexus block that I have no symptoms when I wake up, because if I still have symptoms and then we know it's not MALS and it's the nutcracker syndrome that's causing me these issues, that's gonna be not really good. When I was little, I had bone tumor cancer, so that's why I only have one kidney that he was talking about in the video. So for nutcracker syndrome surgery, you have to move the kidney lower to the pelvis. So that would just, dangling around with my one kidney that I have left is a big deal. So today was the best, doctor's day of my life. I felt so validated. I mean, I wanted to cry. It was like I felt heard, and there was actual evidence of why I've been feeling the way I've been feeling. Like, I had peanut butter crackers today, for example. 5 minutes after that, I was just having light aching MALS pain right in between my ribs and my upper stomach. And then I was just really nauseated, and I just wanted to put my head down. And my POTS I've been having a flare up with POTS, and it's been it's not been a good time for me lately. I really was craving nice cold water. When you're really thirsty, and you just want cold water and you just want to chug it down because you're so thirsty. Is something as simple as that I want to do. I have a hard time doing in a sense. I can't chug water like that because it will make me feel sick and I will feel like throwing up. It's a basic human survival want and need is to want to drink water because you're really thirsty and chug it, and I can't even do that. So I don't know, when you just realize that stuff, it can be that debilitating sometimes on this simplest stuff. It kind of messes with your brain a little bit, and it's kind of depressing. I'm sorry if I seem really depressed right now. I'm really not. I'm so tired. I just really want to make sure I'm documenting all this because a lot of people don't document it, and I want to document it. So as of right now, we're just waiting to have the celiac plexus block. So basically, a celiac plexus block procedure is basically where you get 2 epidurals through the back of your spine, and it numbs your MALS, so your celiac artery. And after you get it numbed, you're supposed to have all symptoms free, or at least mostly symptom free. And if you do, then that shows that you have MALS. If you do have symptoms after, then that means you have a very low chance of MALS actually being what causes your symptoms, and that probably means you have something else. In my case, if I have symptoms after I get the celiac plexus block, which hopefully I don't, that'll mean that I have nutcracker syndrome. It's kind of funny because he was like, why are you so excited? It's the celiac plexus block procedure. It's not going to be fun. And I was like, yeah, but just even a 5-minute worth of relief is gonna put me on top of a mountain. I'm gonna be so happy, and I just want to know what it feels like. It's just I can't even take it in how the best feeling in the world's gonna be for me is what a normal person's norm is, and I'm just gonna be so grateful. I'm so excited. God has helped me, oh my gosh, immensely. If I really never had that gut feeling in me to pursue MALS, I don't know where I would be. And I would be so much farther behind. So much farther behind. So I'm so grateful for God putting it on my heart to pursue getting diagnosed for MALS and just chasing after it. Even the fact that I've seen 2 doctors and they said I don't have it, just to keep pushing and advocate for yourself. If you get anything out of this video, it's 1, love Jesus, chase after Jesus. He's gonna save your life. Not that it's all about benefiting you, because it's all about benefiting him. He's the God, we're the slaves, okay? That's how it works. We're the servants, I should say. And then secondly, advocate for yourself. That is even times where my parents didn't advocate for me, I was advocating for myself, and that's one of the biggest things I'm so grateful for that I have, is that I will advocate for myself. Also, do your research. My parents were getting on me for doing too much research. They were telling me that I was basically obsessed with it, and I was obsessed with my health issues, and I was it honestly was a coping way for me to understand was the best way that I could cope, and just fixating on that was the best thing for me to do. But if I didn't know my stuff, I genuinely don't know what I do. I feel even if I didn't want to know my stuff, I still would have to dive into knowing my stuff, because it's very hard to understand, and you really have to put yourself out there in order to get this diagnosis, and also just understand it, because it's very, very in depth. Been years without knowing it. I've been dealing with this for almost probably my entire life, or at some point in my childhood. It's all coming down to this moment, and I'm so excited. So I kind of forgot to do an outro for this video. I didn't know where the video was going to end up. So this was part 1. This was me just going through my diagnosis journey. This was all trying to figure out my diagnosis. I didn't know it until Basically, that last clip that you saw, that was finally me getting my diagnosis. So the next part that you're going to be seeing in another video that will come out later is my celiac plexus block. So that's what you will be seeing next, and I'm super excited to go through that process.